Welcome to the Pluxbox tutorial on how to establish a relation between collections. Consider a scenario with two collections, cities and countries. We want to connect multiple cities to their respective countries. For that you need to establish a one-to-many relation. Let's start by creating a collection for countries. Click on New Collection and select the collection type, Normal. Name your collection, Countries. The system name will be generated automatically. Add an element titled Name to the data structure, with the input type set to Text. Next, add another element called Cities. Set its input type to Relation. And then save your collection. Now let's create the second collection for cities. Select the collection type, Normal, and name it Cities. The system name will be generated automatically. Add an element titled Name to the data structure with the input type set to Text. Add another element called Country. Set its input type to Relation. Then we go to the Work Data Overview to establish the relation between the collections by creating stitch. First, let's drag from the country attribute of the cities collection to the ID attribute of the countries collection. This window shows the attributes you are about to stitch together. Select the simple mode and click on the Create Stitch button. Then, drag from the relation attribute of the countries collection to the relation country data. Again, select the simple mode and confirm by clicking the Create Stitch button. We have successfully connected the two collections. Now you should put data in each collection. This data is the name of the countries and cities. Let's go to the Data Explorer. Here we can see our two collections. First we select countries. And start with adding Italy. After adding Italy, you can see the ID of this data. Copy this code and go to the cities collection. Add a city in Italy, for example Rome. Then in the ID section, paste the code for Italy. You can add more cities in Italy in the same way. Now let's add another country. How about Germany? Copy the code and go to the other collection for adding cities in Germany. We can do the same thing for Spain. Now that you added all the cities, you can see that if you click for example on the Florence, it shows the related country which is Italy. Or if you choose a country, you can see its main cities. Now that we are done with creating the collections and relations, let's see how we can use this data. I prepared a user interface where there is a list of countries and for each country, there is a box that shows the main cities. Let me explain the elements of this UI. We have two text elements at the top. Then there is a main container that has another container in it. For the main container, the direction is set to bottom so that the containers inside go at the bottom of each other. The direction of the second container is set to right so that we can have these two boxes next to each other. There are two more containers in it and each one of them has a rectangle for color and a text element for showing the data. We want to show the name of the cities in this text element, so we have to make this text relative with the depth of 1. And for its container? It's important that we choose the direction right. And for the space between, add 10, which is the space between the cities' names. Let's start making the logic. First, to get data, add a load event to the view. Then, insert the live list block. And choose countries from the collection. Connect the load to the start attribute of the live list. Now that we have access to the data in our collection, we will use a get data block to extract data from the live list. Let's connect the collection result to the get data object attribute. If you hover on the result, you can see what structure of data you can have. Since we want the list of objects, we type edges for the path. As we are accessing a list of items, we use a loop list and connect the get data to the loop list block. Hover on the value in the get data block. As you see, if we type node, the structure of data will be an object. Click on this container and connect the loop list component attribute to the drag data attribute of the selected container. Now we need to go inside the loop list block, so double click on it. Here we need to connect blocks. So let's start with the getData block and connect it to the input of the loop list. For the path we again type node. Now you need the second getData block and connect it to the first one. If you hover on value, you can see the structure. We want to show countries' names, so type name in the path. This is an element that we have already chosen inside the collection. Then select the text element for countries and connect the value attribute of the block to the value attribute of this text element. Now we need another getData block to get data from cities collection. As you can see here, we had another input named cities. So, in the same getData block, type cities. Then, for the path type edges. For accessing the list of cities, we need another loop list. For the path, type node and then select the text element for cities. Connect the loop list component to the value attribute of the text element. As you know, we need to double-click the new loop list and create blocks inside it. First we insert a getData block to extract data from the cities collection and we type node for the path. Then we need another getData block. Connect it to the other block and type name for the path so that it shows the data in the cities collection as text format. For the last step, select the text element for cities and connect the value attribute of the getData block to the value attribute of the text element. We are done with the logic blocks. Let's check the result. As you can see, now we have a list of countries on one side and their main cities on the other. Thanks for watching this tutorial.